Hello, and welcome to another episode of How the Hell Did I Get Here with Meg and Rachel. Thanks for joining us. Today we have Erika Armstrong. Hey, Erika.
Hello.
A little bit about Erika before we get started. So, from the front desk of an FBO in Minnesota, as we all say it. Yeah, to the captain seat of a commercial airliner, Erika Armstrong has experienced everything aviation has to offer. During her piloting career, she was a Red Cross, charter, corporate, cargo, hazmat, and air ambulance pilot and captain, flying 28 different aircraft before going to the airlines. She is also an aviation professor at MSU Denver, VP of Business Development at Advanced Aircrew Academy, and author of A Chick in the Cockpit, which is like our favorite thing.
Our favorite line ever, I think.
Yeah. Erika has also been able to use the power of social media to educate and share the joys of aviation to 500,000 followers, which helps inspire the next generation of pilots. This is impressive.
I know. I love it. It makes me so. I got to ask though, very first, what is an FBO? Am I supposed to know what that is?
I looked at it.
No, probably not. It's a fixed base operator. It's just the facilities at a little airport that the airplanes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We all have our acronyms, right?
I looked it up.
I didn't.
I had to look it up, and I didn't even remember what it was, but I knew it was something about small airports.
Yeah. Well, all of that. Before we really start, I'm so curious. What your favorite? All that list of things you've done. What is your favorite aircraft or mission or duty or whatever? What was your favorite?
Oh gosh. Okay. It's like comparing apples to bananas.
I know it's a tough question.
My favorite airplane still is the Boeing 727.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, real pilot's airplane, it's old fashioned, it was a racehorse. That thing that did Mach 9.0, this is 1960s technology. And they still had the flight engineer seat. So I was able to start as a flight engineer, and that's where I learned about aircraft systems. I got to watch the captain and co-pilot worked well with them. And it was a great place to observe humanity trapped in the cockpit with two men. So,
oh my God. And it's such the chick in the cockpit thing. I wish we had the same kind, like a cockpit is just so like perfectly all male. I mean, what other word works that well? I wish we could have the same kind of word for like, the CEO or the executive team,
boardroom,
like boardroom.
It sounded cooler.
Yeah, but it sounded more like male dominant because that's what it is, right? It's basically the, business cockpit, but anyway, it sounds so good. It's so perfect. Anyway,
yeah.
I mean, what else? I love that you're making room for the. I don't know if I can say it.
I know
for the non-cockpit people. I guess.
Yes. We call it the box office now.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
God, that's great.
Even better.
Oh man. We have to call you for some marketing.
We're totally calling you. Right.
Yeah.
I love it.
We need to have a
box
bottle of
office.
wine with you and
At least one.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, so Erika, tell us a little bit about kind of your story and your moment where you popped your head up and you thought, how the hell did I get here? For better or worse, and sort of what that meant for you.
Yeah, I've had thousands of those moments, right? So I just have to flash back just to give you a perspective as to that moment. So when I was in high school, elementary school, I never knew another woman pilot, never heard of it, just didn't think it was a possibility. I remember in 6th grade, they would have career day and they would separate the boys and the girls. Girls would go in one room, the boys would go in the other. The girls were offered teaching, grocery store worker, librarian.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
So it's just, it was a mindset back then. So, I get through high school and in college, and I just still really didn't know what I wanted to do or be. And I was working 2 jobs. I still didn't have enough money to pay the rent. So I was just looking for a job that had crappy hours. And of course, airports, 24/7, they're always open. So there was an opening at the front desk of an FBO.
Okay, now we know what that is.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just a facility where all the corporate aircraft would come in, they would refuel. We also did aircraft servicing there. So a whole bunch of different elements in the industry at this one place. So I picked it just because it had hours that fit into my schedule. So just even working the front desk, I didn't realize aviation has its own language. Just my very first job working the phones that had 15 incoming lines, 35 connections I had to forward to, and just learning the language Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, having to talk on the Unicom. I didn't even know it existed. So, but I started understanding the industry, learning it from the other side. And at night, after all the business people went home, all the suits and ties, it would just be the front desk people and the line guys. And so we'd be doing our paperwork, but they'd be studying for their private pilot exams. And they'd include me, and I'd help them study and start reading questions for them. And I realized that I was actually explaining the answers to them and helping them get ready. And there was that one moment where it clicked. And I'm like, well, these guys are not rocket scientists. If they can do it, I can do it. So I went next door, I took a flight lesson, and I was hooked.
Awesome.
So, never intending to go into that pathway, but once I was on it, I could not get off. I just fell in love with it. So my what the hell am I doing here moment was that moment. I had started as a flight engineer, then worked up as a first officer, and then I got up into the captain's seat on the 727. So I'd already done my line flying with an observation captain, and so I was on reserve. When you're junior, you just sit around and wait for someone to be sick or not show up, and then you get to go fly. So I was out in Las Vegas, my very first day on reserve as captain, and I actually got the phone call that day. So one of the captains had forgot his identification, so he was at security, couldn't get through security.
Oh no.
So now there's 173 people waiting, and so it'd be faster for me to go to the airport than him go home, grab it, and come back. So I got the call. They're like, get your butt out to the airport right now. You have your first captain's trip. And so I'm frantically, dashing over there, knowing that everybody's waiting for me. And I'm, back then we've got our heavy flight bags. So I'm carrying around, 100 pounds worth of, charts and everything. And the gate agent lets me into the jet bridge, but nobody's there. And I'm realizing I'm a little bit frazzled. And so there was nobody in front of me, nobody behind me. So I just stopped for just 10 seconds to gather my thoughts. And it was just that moment going, holy crap, I am about to go captain this airplane for the first time. And it was just that surreal moment, just going, I just can't believe that I got here. All the starts and stops and those moments where you just don't think you're going to get there. Especially when you're at like maybe 500 to 800 hours. That's where I see most pilots who want to stay in the industry. They get burned out. They can't get a job. They can't find something that will pay them to fly. And it all culminated in just that 10 seconds of standing on the jet bridge before I stepped on that airplane for the first time to go captain it, and just take a deep breath and just say, all right, I got this. This is what I've been working for. So that was my one major moment, but lots of what the hell am I doing here moments from there to here.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So we fly a lot, and I've often wondered, does it ever get to the point where it feels like you're kind of a bus driver, like or is it just so freaking awesome to be piloting that you don't care that you're basically a bus driver? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, and I try to tell my students when they come into my classroom, because most of them think they want to just be an airline pilot. And I find that after you've been an airline pilot for a long time and you're just doing the standard routes, you just get burned out in the monotony. I was lucky that I was flying for an airline that also did charter work. We did 130 or 121 supplemental. So I got to fly the sports teams. We did the DoD contracts. So it wasn't just that boring Detroit, Las Vegas, turn around, go back. So especially in business aviation, where I also work, no 2 days are the same. I mean, truly, for better or worse. Sometimes it doesn't fit into a lifestyle, right? Where you just never know where you're going to be. And especially when I was starting out in air ambulance. So that's the schedule where you carry, your phone and you're always on call, and it's 2:00 in the morning. And you don't have to worry about just being a bus driver, because truly every day is different, and there's so many different niches. So if you want to be in aviation because you like the different days and excitement, there's definitely a niche for you.
Yeah, well, I just know I just know that as a passenger, I want you to be so experienced that you are bored. This is just from my perspective. We've come out of the clouds to land in our local regional airport, and I know the flight path better than half of the pilots because, we do small regionals that they're trying to work up into the bigger planes. And I'm like, I don't know if they know where they're at right now. So I would much rather have someone that's bored. Boring flights are so good. Anyway, well, part of what we have our guests do is take our assessment, which tells us your chaos tolerance. And as it turns out, no great surprise, you're an independent. And in our world, that means that you feel like the self-driven part of our assessment tells us that you don't really need permission from other people. You're comfortable stepping into things that maybe would be unexpected or other people wouldn't do themselves. So the fact that you are this pioneering woman in this space makes a lot of sense to us. And then of course, on the chaos tolerant side, it means that you're okay with new things. You're okay with things that don't necessarily come as expected. But my experience is that most pilots tend to be pretty structured. So you're not really super chaotic. You're kind of right above our structured line. So how do you think that plays into what you've chosen to do?
Well, it's interesting because I think what you just described is part of the reason why we don't get young girls into aviation. I've spent a lot of time looking at the pilot personality, what draws someone to that field. And I think that what you just described for most young girls doesn't happen till later. It kind of comes down to that self-confidence and ego, but ego in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order to get into an airplane and do well, you have to have some level of self-fulfillment that you can get through an emergency. You don't even think about it. You're just like, I'll get on board and I have that knowledge that I can get there. But that sometimes takes time. But I see, even in my classroom, I see that, and I mean, there's lots of layers, we could spend an hour on it, but different layers as to why men and women enter into the field and why there's a lot of girls that don't think that they can do it. We're always complaining about not having enough women coming in. And so what can we do to bolster that? They have STEM programs and all that, but actually I'm finding that is a barrier for some girls, that they believe if they're not in STEM, that they can't be a pilot. But being a pilot is much more, and I guess to sum it up easily, is the kids in my class that I know are going to do well, they don't necessarily get A's on the written exams. They have that confidence, that passion for being there. They want to learn. They have a good sense of humor. They get, they're tolerant of other personalities and people. And and they don't, it's not necessarily chaos that's going on in the background. It's just that desire to have a variety of input and sitting at a cubicle, and both of you are like, yes, I know what you're talking about. So,
we're both chaos tolerant. And when we say chaos, we don't mean chaos maybe in the sense that you could probably think of chaos, especially as a pilot. It's really that idea of all different kinds of ideas and inputs and connecting unrelated things and trying to have new experiences and those sorts. That feels for people that really prefer structure, that feels chaotic to them. Although for us, it's what makes life interesting.
Yeah, your variety is that guy's shit show.
Yeah,
really,
totally.
like it's not really chaos. It's a variety.
Yeah, for some people it is.
We
like,
agree.
But that is interesting because I think what we'd see as you see more women in the pilot seat, in the captain seat, I think it will attract more team-driven people. Because what often we see that what you're saying, that social thing with young girls, is that I think the more women they see, the more it'll feel like they have like-minded people there. So that will be interesting to see at what point that tips from having to be kind of, I'm willing to do crazy things, to, this is a common thing for me. And I think, how have you seen that change? Are there more women pilots today, or is it still pretty sporadic?
It's still pretty low, but it's getting better. It's still only about 5% of women pilots are 18.
That is low.
That's still pretty low. But it sounds so minor, but it's actually a major change. Just having simple things on social media platforms.
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't exist a few years ago. There's like a Facebook page for women-only pilots. And just to be able to go into that site and ask a question that you normally wouldn't want to ask, because you know that it will be an accepting question and, with real answers, because whether we want to believe it or not, women still have a larger load to carry if they decide they want to do the whole human experience and, have a marriage and have kids and everything. The industry is unforgiving. There's no way around you being gone and with bad hours and missing holidays. So to have a support network out there of other people who understand that, just that one little thing can make a huge difference, especially when you feel like you've got a barrier, to be able to get some more ideas on how to get over it, things that you couldn't normally think of on your own. It's amazing to see, how something benign like social media can work for the better. Too often we see it as, in the negative context, but in this case, it's helped a lot.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, tell us, Erika, a little bit about your book and your business and your teaching opportunities that you've got at MSU Denver, and how can we support you in your efforts to get more pilots? Is safe, experienced, boring pilots in the air.
So it's been my passion for the last 10 years to give back, because aviation changed my life so much and I didn't ever intend to get there. So I want to accidentally come into somebody's life who never thought about it before. So and the other secondary, what the hell am I doing here moment is I got hit by a drunk driver almost 2 years ago to the day. And I lost my hearing in my ear and I got some ear damage. So I've had to kind of redefine what I'm doing next. But I love that I already had this platform set up to try to encourage the next generation, men and women. I know COVID threw us off track, but before we got into this COVID thing, we actually were experiencing a pilot shortage. And now everybody's like, oh, it's never going to happen again. But we've set ourselves up again for another shortage. We had so many pilots take early retirement. Our attrition charts are out the window. Experienced pilots are going to be hard to come by. So here's my prediction. It's March 1st. So 18 months from now, I guarantee you the headlines will be saying, hey, we're needing pilots, especially in business aviation, because business aviation gets sucked up by the airlines. So it'll be changing. But that's one of the reasons why I wrote A Chick in the Cockpit. It was an opportunity to bring women into the cockpit, share some funny stories, and then bring in all the dynamics of what it is, having a family, and then having a spouse who doesn't necessarily want you there. And I won't give any spoilers to the book, but my ex-husband actually took away my flying career for a little while. So it's a little balance of both sides, the good and the bad of aviation. And the heroes of the story are of my book club. So a little nod to the ladies out there that quietly help each other out and help each other over those barriers. So I'm on social media, A Chick in the Cockpit. If you just Google that, you'll find me. Come find me on LinkedIn, especially if you're interested in aviation, you're looking for your first job. Track me down. I'll help you at least get set up with somebody local, a pilot in the local area. Some of the 99s or the women in aviation groups in your area. It's super important to network. Half the jobs are never posted. So I'd like to set up a platform to help out the other next generation coming up.
Awesome. Well, as happens quite often on our podcast, we could talk to you for the rest of the day, but to be kind to the ears of the folks that are listening in, we'll keep it short as promised. Erika, thank you so much for joining us. Your story is incredible. I had goosebumps actually while you were telling the story. And it's not even cold here today.
That's so beautiful.
It's like above freezing.
It's a great day to fly.
It is a great day to fly. Yes. Clear skies, no wind.
Always a great day to fly.
Always a great day to fly.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Well, until next time, all of our listeners, lead powerfully.
Change the world.